In this video, I'm going to show you how to create a Kemper profile for Rush's song Tom Sawyer using an amp that you may not know about. Yes, stay tuned. So sometimes it can be difficult to play songs like this one if your fingers aren't warmed up or your fingers simply aren't doing what you want them to do. I've been there and I am still to this day. So in order to fix this problem, you need to take your fingers to the gym. Yes, to the Guitar Finger Gymnastics gym. Namely, it's a free course that I made called Guitar Finger Gymnastics that's going to help you improve your strength, your coordination, and your dexterity in your fingers. And it's also can be used as a great set of exercises that can warm those fingers up to get ready to play songs just like this. So I created a series of short videos. It won't take you long to go through it, and this is stuff you can keep with you for the rest of your life as long as you're playing guitar. So go ahead and download it in the link below. Hey, how you doing? This is Tony from Six String Corner, and I'm going to show you how I created a profile for the song Tom Sawyer by Rush. Many of you know, or if you don't know, I'm in a Rush tribute band out here in the Chicago area called Animation Tribute to Rush. So naturally, I've done a few Rush songs, and I thought it might be interesting and helpful to show you how I set up for this song. Now, it may help you for this song, or it might help you for another song that you're looking for this type of sound, and maybe this is an amp that you might want to use. What amp did I use? Well, let me give you a little bit of history though. At this time, Alex Lifeson, the guitar player from Rush, he's been known to go through all kinds of different kinds of amps through the years being in Rush, different guitars. He's been through the gamut. But during that era, he primarily was using two types of amps, and he was using high watts with a 4x12 cabinet, and he was using these Marshall Club and Country combos. Now, the word I hear and what it sounds like to me is the Marshall Club and Country combos were mostly used for a lot of his clean sounds in this album, whereas the high watts he was using for the more high gain, distortion, in your face type sounds. At that time, the popular amp of that day of the high watts was the DR103. David Gilmour used them. A lot of guitar players, a lot of artists used them at this time in the late 70s, early 80s. But Alex's high watt amp was more modded up a bit and was called the DR105. So here's the problem that I had with the Kemper Profiler is the DR103, I've tried it and I've gone through it trying to get a good sound, and I never personally was satisfied with it. You may have done it for this song and have been satisfied. I just wasn't. I wasn't getting the results that I wanted. So doing a little bit more research, what I found was there's a great substitute amp that kind of gets really close to the sound. It's a really surprising amp. It's an amp that I originally never heard of called the VHT Special 6. It's actually a really small, dinky little amp if you look it up on the in the interwebs. I found it on the Rig Exchange and I downloaded it and discovered as I was kind of tweaking the sounds, it came pretty dang close. I just kept the same speaker cabinet that was in there. I made a few adjustments. I'm going to go over that in just a second, but that's the amp I ended up using, is the VHT Special 6. In fact, most of that era where he was using the high watt sound, at least for the high watt sound for whatever song it was, I deferred to the VHT Special 6. I found I was getting more of what I wanted than trying to tweak that DR103. DR105, I just couldn't find anywhere on the Rig Exchange. I don't even know anybody who has it. If somebody does, let me know. I'd be really curious to get it. So here's a breakdown of how I created the Tom Sawyer sound. All right, so here's the settings that I used for Tom Sawyer. This is the new Rig Manager 3.0, so if you don't have this version yet, that's why it looks different. So you might want to go ahead and download that. You need the new operating system also on the Kemper. So those two things have to happen in order to have you see what I'm going to show you here. For Tom Sawyer, I put in a slot here for my performances. Here's all the rest of some of my Rush songs. This is an exclusive list, but this is just from recent sets. Tom Sawyer, I used the VHT Special 6. That was the sound that I felt sounded the best. I did a little research and found that somebody else was using that too. Learned a little bit about it. Downloaded it off the Rig Manager. It is there, so you can go get it and see how it sounds for you. I did use the VHT Special 6 with the, I don't even know what this is. It's a 1x12 cabinet. So that's what I used for it for the VHT Special 6. It's really funny that it's a small, very small amp that's replicating this big high watts, but it does the trick. On the Rig Manager now, it does show how my effects are used here. I'm sorry, how my effects are used and also how my controls are. I'll show you on the Kemper. I'll give you a close-up of the Kemper too, but the gain, bass, mid-range, treble, presence, all fairly straight up. I just add a tiny bit of treble and presence. I know Alex tended to do a little bit of that. At least I think he did. Works for me. And then on the amp side here, these special controls, the only thing I changed a little bit was the definition. I add a little more definition. All the rest of these sounds here were stock off the VHT, so I didn't really change much of them. This is the effects loop section that's on the Kemper. Here's the amp. This is the pre, and this is the post. You'll see nothing here on the pre because what I'm using is my Fractal FX8 Mark II for my effects. So that's going straight into here, and then I'm using this loop stereo slot here for the post section on the Kemper because that's going to take the post section of effects on my Fractal FX8. So that I did use the Fractal effects, not the Kemper effects. But the amp was the VHT Special 6, and that's what I used. So I'll go over that in just a little bit. But this is essentially what I did. So now I'm going to show you really quick what the Fractal FX8, what I used for those effects. All right, this is the editor for the FX8. Now, you may not have the Fractal of the FX8, and that's okay. Don't worry about it. I'm going to go over each of the effects. So if you have individual effects or using like the Helix or some other unit, adapt it as works for you. This is just what I used. So I'll go over each of these effects really quick. The top 4 here are on my pre section. The bottom 4 are in my post section. So as you can see, I just used a drive, chorus, and on the other side I use the reverb and a stereo enhance feature that FX8 they have on here. You may or may not want to use it. I kind of liked it, and that is for the bulk of the sound Tom Sawyer. And on the solo, when I added that in, I added a little bit of delay, took the enhance out, and added a bit of a boost here for the song. So these are the effects that I use. I just used a micro boost for boosting the solo. I used my good old-fashioned tube screamer T8 OD. It could be the TS7, whatever. Pretty sure you use the MXR distortion pedals. I don't know. For my sound, for what I have, this is what works for me. The chorus pedal, I use the classic CE2. They call it Japan CE2. I have no idea why. But this is the classic sound that he used for a lot of his songs. There are some songs on this album, though, Moving Pictures, where I didn't really hear the chorus as much, but I heard it here, and so I used that. So I had the rate down a bit, and you can see what the rate is, and this is where the depth was. So these are the primary things you'll have to look for. Standard right here about 10 o'clock, and the depth was about 2 o'clock for that setting. So if you have a chorus or any other type of modulation pedal that does that chorus, that's what you're going to want to set it for. And this is the order that I put it in. On the post side of my effects chain, I just put a simple delay here, 250 milliseconds, so I didn't really time it to the pace of the song. I think that's about what he used. I could be off, but Like I said, this works for me. And just some standard reverb. This isn't really a big reverby song, so I just use a small plate, which is some basic standard settings to fill it out. Really not much here. You can set that up as you want. And then this enhance feature, I'm not really going into this because you may or may not have it. You may not even want to use it. But it just kind of filled the sound out for me during the main part of the song, but not for the solo. I took it out for the solo. All right, so if you have your own set of effects, you can adjust as necessary. So basically it's a boost, whatever overdrive you want to use, and a chorus. And on the post side, some kind of delay, not really a lot, not a tremendous amount of feedback here. You only use that for the solo, basically a small plate, and then just enhance. You don't even have to use this thing here. So that's how I set up the effects on the Fractal unit. Now, if you want to use the ones on the Kemper, go ahead. Do something very similar to this setup on the Kemper. You can easily do that. This could be your slot A, B, and C, and D. And then on the post side, you can have X. You can have your mod, your delay, and your reverb. I put the chorus ahead of the post, not behind it. I just like that sound better. You may want to put it on the post. Let me know if you did that. It may sound better. I'd love to find out. So that's how you would set your Kemper up if you wanted to do it that way. I hope this helps you set up for the song Tom Sawyer, or if there's a song that you need a similar sound to, this may be an amp of choice called the VHT Special 6. Really interesting little amp that I never knew anything about before I was doing research for this Kemper profiler. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like it, click the bell for notifications. I'll definitely have more stuff on the profiler, and of course I do teach a lot on how to play songs and riffs and all those other types of things. You can scroll through my playlist and find all kinds of really wonderful things in there as well. Don't forget, download the free guitar finger gymnastics. Get your fingers a workout. It's in the link below right there. You can't miss it. Thanks a lot for watching, and rock on.